Hi everyone, it's Heidi from flutterbyheidi.co.uk. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the United Kingdom, and today I'm working with the lovely Amazing Silhouettes from the new catalogue, along with the accompanying dies. And the difference with these is the dies that come in the bundle are for these fabulous words. And I've misplaced my samples, but basically they say amazing, thanks, you and are. So you can have you are amazing. If you cut the S off, you can have thank you, and all sorts of variations obviously on that. But they really are quite, I probably wouldn't have bought them, but we had them as part of our on stage demonstrator event, and actually they are absolutely beautiful and stamped so wonderfully, as you can see here from this card. And this is what I call a floating front card. It's kind of just a variation so that the front looks as if it's just suspended on the front there. Kind of variation on a stepper card almost as well. Folds flat for posting, you know me, like a card that folds flat for posting. And it's really easy just to slide that into place and create our lovely card. Now the papers I've used on this, you can see here, are a freebie with Celebration. And they're these lovely Simply Marvellous papers. And you've got 6 different colourways, and so you get 8 sheets each. I keep saying 4 sheets, but there must be 8 sheets each. So you have got Misty Moonlight, Pool Party. I actually put a bit of Pacific Point with this, and it worked really well. We've got Basic Grey, see here, Blushing Bride and Flirty Flamingo, one of my favourite combinations. Bumblebee and So Saffron. I don't use yellow very often, so that's one that I'm going to use now. This is Coastal Cabana, and again, Pool Party in there. Oh, sorry, that was Balmy Blue, Misty Moonlight and Balmy Blue. And then what I used on that one, which is Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape. So as you can see, on the one side, they've got sort of a true marble stone effect, and on the other side, you've got the marbling effect that you get when you create marbled paper. So those are the papers I'm going to use, and who doesn't love something that comes for free? So what we need to do now is do some stamping. So I've got a piece of card here that is for the front panel, and this is 6.5 by 12 centimetres, 2 3/4 by 5 inches, and I've got a piece for the side panel which I have used here with the leaf stamp. And that is 14.5 by 3 centimetres, so 5 3/4 by 1 1/4 inches. So that this one fits beautifully onto our I block, and I've got the leaf stamp here, and that's just on a D block that we've got there. And then I've got my Bumblebee, being the sort of deeper colour that we're going to use. So it's quite a big stamp, and particularly because it's also like a distinctive effect, so I'm going to go over it with my ink pad. So ink pad to stamp. It also stops you getting too much ink squished onto it. And then I'm just going to stamp that in the middle of my piece. Here we go. And then I'm going to stamp my side panel, and with this I'm going to start sort of roughly in the middle to kind of get the leaf effect, and then I'm just going to come top and bottom. And so they really are lovely sort of silhouettes and create a fabulous effect. The butterfly in there is beautiful as well, and just some simple stamping sometimes has the most lovely effect. What I haven't done is the inner panel, and I need to cut a piece of that, and then I can stamp that as well. So with the inner panel, which I will show on my sample, so just here I've used the leaf stamp again, and this piece doesn't matter really on the width, so 6.5 by 14.5, so it'll be about 2 5/8 by 5 3/4, or whatever the height of your card is. Obviously depending if you're in the UK or the US. I'm working in centimetres here in the UK because it makes life easier. So 6.5, just make sure that is 14.5. Yep, so 6.5. And in fact what I'll do is I'm going to use my butterfly in the corner there, just to show you how well that stamps. So again, ink it up. There we go. Again, you could ink up, put some fronds in the top corner there. There we go. So those are our panels. So for the front then, the layer of this front panel is 7 by 12.5 centimetres. So that's around about 3 by 5.25 inches. And I'm just going to layer that up. So get my components ready first. And this piece for the stopper, so this is, as I said, 14.5 by 3. So my card for the contrast is 14.5 by 3.5. Just to check I pick the right piece up. Yep. So again, you're just going to run some tape down the back there, and I've made the layers so that I'm just doing layers on the side, so keeping the lengths to give it a feel. And what I'm going to do here is put dimensionals down just the half of this, because you're going to with these I'm going to be using it as a stopper, so we need to lift it up slightly. So in fact what I'm actually going to use, I'm going to use the side pieces of my dimensionals. Just cut that into pieces. So yeah, so this is the upright, so they're coming on this side. So I'm just going to pop a piece there, a piece there, and then another piece in the middle. That's going to keep it well supported, and is going to enable the flap to just tuck underneath there as well when we come to it. So the other bits that we need to do now, we need to create our card base, and we also need to create our layers for our card. So I've got 2 pieces of card here which are going to be my layers, and these are 14.5 by 4 centimetres, fine 3/4 by 1 5/8. And I've got a card base here in So Saffron, which is 21 by 14.5, so fine 3/4 by 8 1/4. And I'm going to score on the long edge. Really simple scoring. Make sure it's butted up nice and straight. So 10.5 at 15 and at 19.5. So 4 1/8, 5 7/8 and 7 5/8. Okay, and then I'm going to want some pieces of DSP to go on there. So these are going to be 14.5 by 3.5. So I'm actually going to cut. A piece at 7 centimetres, so twice the width I need, and that way it keeps my piece as large as I can. My leftovers trimmed 14.5, and then just divide that down at 3.5, like so. Okay, and now we can start. Keep going to pick up my Seal Plus. Don't want to do that. So these are going to go down the centre here. Oh, and now what I haven't done is created my other piece. My piece is to hold the floating panel. We'll do that in a moment. So just add those layers onto the front. A little bit off on that one, so let's just add a bit more to the side. So these are the two pieces that make the floating panel at the front. So you want two pieces which are 6 by 4 centimetres, so 2.5 by 1.5. And on that short edge, you're going to score at 2 centimetres, 3/4 of an inch. Okay. So just fold those in half, and then you really want to use your bone folder on the card, so make sure it's nicely layered. Get those really reinforced, and this narrow one in one direction and then back on itself, like so. While it's flat, we're going to add our layers onto the middle there. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm actually going to, not quite. One more thing to do. Right, I'm actually going to add my stoppers into the place first. So wet glue I would recommend for this, and roughly in the middle there. And then fold, just because it's wet glue, just make sure those are nicely layered up. And again, just you want them right on that crease. And then once they're in place, we can then add our panel over the top, and it just hides the mechanism a little bit more. Not that anyone's going to look behind, but you know, it helps create the illusion. Like so. Okay. So now we're going to add our stopper and our inner panel. So again, you just want to just bring that in just a fraction on the front there. We're going to add our layer onto the inside. And you'll see that just tucks underneath, and we can then add our layer onto the centre here. So again, wet glue, and important thing here is to pop it on and get it central while it's flat, and then pop it up. So I'm going to pop that to one side to dry, and then we're just going to do our bit of die cutting to go onto the front. So I've put some double-sided adhesive sheet onto my So Saffron, and that's going to be for my thanks, the detailed one on the front. And when you put them through, I find it's best to just pop them through at an angle. It just helps keep your dies nice and flat. I'm taking my thicker die, my sort of background die, and just again popping that through at an angle. Keep clear of the lines, and just pop that through. And look at that, you see, popping out straight away. So there's my thanks, and there's my contrast layer. Put the dies to one side. And what I find when I'm layering these up is I just start at one end, I peel off a little bit of that backing, like so, and then just do a kind of a letter at a time. Because otherwise I find I get it all tangled up. And it's just by easing off a little bit at a time, it gives me a little bit of time to mount it up. And all that remains is for you to pop a little bit of adhesive onto the back there. You could obviously put that on dimensionals if you wanted, but pop it across the front. And there you have my floating front card, or my version of floating front card, a floating panel. I haven't made a note of seeing this anywhere else, so it might be one I've created, I don't know. Somebody's bound to have done it somewhere, but I think it's a lovely way. It's a kind of a bit of a variation on the bay window card, but it's a lovely way of creating just a little bit more of a wow factor, and it's quite an easy one for people to understand how to put together as well. So they can just pop it behind that slot, and there we have our cards. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed that. Do pop along to my blog to purchase any of the products that you've seen today, and don't forget that this lovely paper is free with any £45 purchase in the current celebration period. So come back, see me soon. Take care now. Bye.